What's up, y'all? It's Prhymate, and with yet another WNBA regular season about to end and the playoffs right around the corner, I wanted to take some time to look at 5 different storylines I've been watching for so far and will continue to in the playoffs. After a fabulous but disappointing 2024 season, where she won Defensive Player of the Year, was second in MVP voting behind A'ja Wilson, and came one possession short of a ring and a controversial end to last year's finals, I think it's fair to say Naphesa Collier came into the season focused and with a pretty big chip on her shoulder. And she's responded with an absolutely dominant season on both ends of the floor. Usually on offense, volume is the enemy of efficiency, but for Fee it's been the opposite. She's not just leading the league in points per game, but also boasting a top 3 true shooting percentage due to career high percentages from 2 and 3. It's not just open layups and threes either. Fee has maybe the most diverse scoring arsenal in the league right now. She both shoots and drives inside well off the catch. She has elite footwork and timing and touch in the post. She finds her spots in the mid-range with ease, regardless of contest, and can finish with either hand through contact. She's great in transition with great hands, speed, and balance. She's elite in the pick and roll as a finisher for all of those same reasons. And she can even hurt you coming off of pin downs with a head of steam. Good defense, better offense. I also think her playmaking is underrated at this point. She's averaging a career high in assists, and because of her scoring gravity, the Lynx can move her all around the floor as they need to open up opportunities for other players. This looks like an obvious breakdown, so let's look closer. Before Courtney Williams gets this ball on the dribble handoff, she knows the sky can't switch because Fee punishes those inside. And she also knows that the big won't leave Fee open from 3 because she will punish them there too. So as soon as she gets the ball back and the defender is in no man's land, it's a layup. As impressive as her offense is, it's made even more impressive by her being the best defender on the best defense in the league so far. She's the only player in top 5 in both steals and blocks per game this year, but I think that undersells her true value, which is her versatility. She's strong in the post and consistently early in her rotations to protect the rim. Despite her aggressiveness in this role, she also stays out of foul trouble, which speaks to her discipline. She's solid as a rock in the pick and roll. She switches as well as any big in the entire league right now. And she has elite hands, which lead to a ton of deflections. As good as Fee and the Lynx have been this year, the playoffs are where their legacy will be written. It won't be easy, but if they're able to take home the trophy after this dominant in a regular season, they'll cement themselves as one of the best teams ever, and Fee will be stamped as an all-time great. Win or lose, I can't wait to watch them try. Here's Fee on exactly where her focus has been this year.
I'm honestly focused on more than MVP. I want us to win a championship this year, so that's what I'm focused on, and the awards come after that, So, of course, you want to win those awards, but I'm way more focused on the team. I want us to get a championship.
So the majority of leaps for MVP caliber players happen within the first 4 years of a player's career. These are stars whose leap to superstardom doesn't surprise anybody. The second type of leap is much more rare and takes more time to develop, because usually the potential was always there, but it sometimes takes a while for all of the pieces to fit into place. The latter is exactly what happened for Atlanta's Allisha Gray this year. Gray has already been accustomed to individual success. She was an all-star in the last 2 seasons before this one, and was widely known as one of the better overall players, and specifically two-way players in the game. But this year, she's taken it to a completely different level. She's not just averaging career highs in points, rebounds, assists, she's also at a career high in threes made, free throws attempted, and effective field goal percentage. Focusing on that 3-point volume for a beat, she's taking over 6 a night and hitting them at a near 40% clip. And while her volume is up, she's actually creating these threes off the dribble less than ever, with just under 97% of her makes coming off an assist, according to Basketball Reference. She's happy to get these looks up with a hand in her face, and that aggression draws aggressive closeouts from the defense, which Gray has used her improved handle to attack all season long. These drives make up the large majority of her on-ball offense, and it's been reliable for her. She does a great job getting downhill and putting pressure on the defense. And when she can't get all the way to the rim, she has a ton of counters in that 3 to 9 foot range to still get a good look off, regardless of how she's being played. To go along with her deadly shooting and her on-ball driving, Allisha is great at punishing lazy defenses by cutting to the rim. She has really great timing and touch on these cuts, and it really helps add to her scoring arsenal without too much load. Only about 10% of her shot diet comes from the mid-range, but I honestly think she could take more of them. She's generally on balance while taking them, and they could be a great way to take advantage of what the defense gives her as they try to run her off the line. I wouldn't call her a prolific passer by any means, but she's definitely an improved one, and in general, makes really quick, accurate decisions with the ball. This both allows her team to keep advantages they've created, and doesn't allow the defense to key in on her like they probably want to. You would think that with the uptick in her offense that her defense might take a hit, right? Wrong. She's been a consistent point of attack defender, pestering ball handlers into turnovers. She's a ball hawk in passing lanes and really pounces on lazy passes, and does a great job avoiding screens to stick to shooters off ball. Even more than that though, she consistently hustles and is always willing to make an extra effort, which means so much coming from your best player. And despite a massive workload on both ends, she actually leads the league in minutes. Gray has been the most impactful guard in the league and a legit MVP candidate this year. Can she keep this up in the playoffs when the defense dials in on her even more? Is this standard that she set this year the new norm, or is it just a one-year peak? Hard to say for sure. But the Dream have looked like a contender all year, and she's been the clear biggest reason why. She deserves more love for what's truly been an elite season, and the Dream's championship hopes both start and end with her. So last year, Caitlin Clark took the league by storm as the #1 pick, becoming only the 5th rookie in league history to make first team All-W, and the first since Candace Parker did it with her historic season in 2008. This year, Paige Bueckers is doing her best to make sure lightning strikes twice. So, I know I just said Allisha Gray has been the most impactful guard at the W, and I do think that, but I'm not sure Paige hasn't been the most impressive guard in the W. In hindsight, this shouldn't be that surprising. She dominated both at the high school and college levels with a ton of individual awards and team success. I expected her to do the same in the W, and I wasn't alone in that. I just didn't expect it to happen this quickly. If I had to sum up what makes Paige so special as a rookie guard in one word, it would be poise. The W is an extremely physical league, and lots of players have trouble adjusting to that physicality, but offensively, she doesn't seem to be bothered. Why? Because her offensive game is already as advanced and adaptable as any rookie guard I've ever seen, and because she uses that fact to make the game simple for herself. No help defender showing on an ISO, uses her handle to find a spot and raise up. Go under on a screen, you know better than that, that's 3. Using the big to hedge on a pick and roll and taking away the 3, I don't care about your great contest, here's a pull-up too. And if the big steps up too high to take away the pull-up, here's an easy pass for a layup. I also love how efficient she is with her dribbles. She gets the pass and immediately jabs right, dribbles left, and steps back. Look at how much space she created with just one dribble, and how unbalanced she is for the shot. It's this combo of handle and shot making that makes her near impossible to stop with the ball in her hands. But that's only half of what makes her so great. To me, even more special is how comfortable she already is as a scorer without the ball. She's surgical with the cuts and can score as soon as she gets the ball. She's aggressive off the catch from 3 and can relocate and fire these shots quickly. And she sees the floor so well too. Here the defender gets caught in a pin down and she nails a 3. A minute later the wings set up for the same look, but both defenders are high on the screen, she rejects it and gets an easy layup. In short, Paige is so tough to stop because she can get to any place on the floor and score from any place on the floor with or without the ball. You have to respect every move she makes, so the defense is more or less at her mercy at times. To have even the potential to do this at this level this early is impressive enough to me. To have each of these skill sets developed enough and be fundamentally sound enough to go to them at will as defenses are itching to stop you adds a layer of impressive. The cherry on top is her decision making as a young guard is impeccable. She's already so good at reading the defense and reacting with the right play to make sure the defense is always wrong. Watch the timing here. Paige knows the Stormer in a 2-3 zone and knows she has a shooter in the corner. So as soon as she sees the weak side defender start to follow the other shooter to the wing, the ball is already headed to where she knows the defense isn't. Cash. Of course, even with all her talent, she's still a rookie. There's lots of room for growth, especially defensively and physically. And the Wings record will likely keep her from making first team this year. But make no mistake, the future in Dallas is bright, and Ms. Bueckers will be adding a lot to that trophy case over the next few years. In 2023, the Aces had a real lack of size next to A'ja Wilson caused by the season-ending injury to Candace Parker, and it slowed them down, but never stopped them from winning their second straight title, mostly because A'ja Wilson is one of the best basketball players to ever live. In 2024, with Parker's retirement and no true replacement on the roster, the Aces relied even more on Wilson, and she was still incredible, but they came up short in the second round because she had to deal with 70 minutes of MVP level bigs, essentially taking full advantage of her only being able to be in one place at a time. So here, in 2025, the Aces decided to address this issue by trading a first round pick for former second overall pick Nalyssa Smith, and it's worked out really well so far. But why? To me, this is a classic case of talent meeting opportunity. Nalyssa had a very productive first 2 years with the Fever and even averaged 16 points in her second year. Then a literal megastar gets drafted and the team very quickly shifts in priorities. That's the correct shift for the Fever, but to go from a possible up-and-coming star to a fourth option at the beginning of your third year would be tough for a lot of young players. I do think she tried, but Smith at times struggled to fit into her new role and saw her minutes and touches decrease as the season went on. By the playoffs, Smith played just 13 combined minutes in the Fever's 2 losses. She was traded to Dallas, where she got to play briefly with her girlfriend Dejanay Carrington, as well as All-Stars and Ngumawale and Bueckers. But the Wings got the number 1 pick last year for a reason, and the lack of cohesion provided even less opportunities for Smith to flourish. Enter Las Vegas, who don't just have a role for Nalyssa, but need that production to lessen A'ja's load on both ends by any means necessary. And while Smith's weaknesses are still there, her strengths are what's shining in Las Vegas. She's used her strength and athleticism to be impactful on the boards. She's been an efficient play finisher inside for the Aces playmakers, and in general defensively holds her own enough to allow A'ja to be the best version of herself. Looking forward, I also think there's some room for growth for her too. She's probably not going to hit 15 a game again, but she's the only non-A'ja frontcourt player who can be expected to make plays on both ends enough to play heavy minutes. This essentially gives Nalyssa a positive reinforcement loop. The more you compete defensively and play with energy and activity and physicality, the more minutes you'll play. And with more minutes comes more opportunities for touches, shots, and potentially a well-defined offensive role as the second big on the team. You don't have to look hard to see the vision either. The Aces' most played lineup during their current 13-game win streak has been Smith, Wilson, and their trio of Hall of Fame guards, and it's been dominant. Will this late push be enough to put the Aces over the top as contenders and get back to the finals? We'll have to see. But as a believer in Nalyssa's potential, I'm personally really excited to see her get a chance to grow in this environment. Last but not least, we have the 13th and newest team in the W, the Golden State Valkyries. Most expansion teams aren't very good in their first year because the entire team is made up of players that other teams didn't value too highly. On paper, this seemed to be the case for the Valkyries, who had an over-under win total of 8.5 games in the preseason, according to BetMGM. Unfortunately for Vegas, the team is extremely well coached, clicked instantly, and with a 23-18 record, have officially earned their first playoff appearance in their debut season, the first ever WNBA team to accomplish this. Let's look at how. Offense is the main draw of most basketball teams these days, but realistically, the Valkyries aren't a good offensive team by any stretch. They're 9th in effective field goal percentage and true shooting, and 8th in offensive rating. So how have they managed to keep up? By controlling what they can control and playing to their strengths. They're the 5th best defense in the league this year, and they have the 3rd best defensive rebounding percentage, which means their presence is felt on that end despite not forcing a lot of turnovers. And while they take the least amount of twos per game in the league, lots of these attempts are aggressive drives that help them get to the line where they are 7th in total makes. These drives also create a ton of open looks from 3. They're only 8th in 3-point percentage on the year, but they lead the league in 3-pointers made because they take more than anybody. They also beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Of their 18 losses so far, only 3 have been to teams currently outside of the playoffs. So, full stop, the Valkyries to me have been the best story in the league this year. Their crowd is electric, they play hard as hell and disciplined regardless of who's in the lineup, but my favorite thing about them this year is their resilience. This team watched Caleb Thornton, a WNBA champ, a first-time All-Star, and a leader in the locker room, go down with a season-ending injury right before the All-Star break, and they are still 13-6 since she got hurt. Veronica Burton was already having an incredible year and was seen as a leading candidate for Most Improved Player, but since Thornton's injury, she's completely taken the reins as the team's best player. She's even flashing some star potential as a scorer, shooter, and playmaker, averaging 16, 5, and 8 in her last 10 games. Janelle Salon is who I'd call their true second option right now, self-creating and working off the ball at all 3 levels well as a scorer. If Salon is a scorer who can shoot, Cecilia Zandalicini is a shooter who can score. She has more than enough handle and savvy to take advantage of teams who crowd her jumper. Tib Hayes is maybe the true avatar for this team offensively because almost every shot she takes is either a layup created off of a drive or a 3. And finally, Ileana Rupert is kind of a one-trick pony with 70% of her offense coming from 3, but when you hit almost half of them, does it matter? All of those 5 are playing really great ball, but do you know what really endears me to this team? Their willingness to play confidently through whoever is on the floor. They have virtually no ego as a group, and because of that, everybody on the floor is empowered to make a play, which makes everybody on the floor a threat. This year has been a tremendous success for the Valkyries, regardless of how it ends. Off effort and consistency alone, they deserve to make the playoffs and have been a really fun watch all year. They're laying the foundation for a team to be a winner for a long time. Here's Coach Natalie Nasake on what it means to coach this group.
I'm just really grateful to have a group that allows me to be myself. You know, every day I don't hold back. Every day I go at them. Every day I can tell them the truth of when they're messing up. And we've kind of been having really hard conversations because, to me, statistically, our defense has dropped. That's not how we need to be to win games. And so we've had a lot of tough film sessions over the last couple of days about truth-telling, and you see the improvement right away. So I'm just really grateful to have players that want to be coached hard. They don't take things personal, and they fight every single day. So as the season goes on, I'm just, very grateful.
So I think the W is in a really special place right now in terms of timing. The rich history of the game up to this point can still be told by the people who were there to experience it. We get to watch legends establish names for themselves and push the game forward in real time. And not only is there a ton of young talent already flourishing in the league, but the crop of talent waiting in the wings is just as promising. And that's before you talk about expansion teams popping up around the country. Learning more about the history, the tradition, the rivalries, and the personalities of the players themselves has been really fun. And it's because of those players that the W has a completely unique energy and fan experience compared to any other sports league in the world. The playoffs this year look as good as any since I started following it, and we could get some classic series if the brackets break right. So even if you haven't been locked in like me this year, there is no time like the present. Thanks for watching. If you made it to this part in the video, thank you. I really do appreciate it. These are a labor of love. Like, I really enjoy making these, and they take a minute since, I'm physically incapable of making a video that is shorter than 20 minutes at this point. But yeah, really fun to make. I really enjoy them. So if you enjoyed it, if you liked this video, like, comment, subscribe. The algorithm really likes that, and I do too. Was there another topic you would have liked to see me discuss instead? Did I miss something in the topics that I chose to discuss? But feel free to let me know in the comments. I try to read at least every one and try to reply to every one of them too. Pretty much all I have for y'all. Pay the players. Shout out lesbians. Stop throwing dildos on the court. And I'm out. Peace.